We'll talk about that actually. She may be watching, so we got to be careful.
I think that joke's gotten old by now.
I'm just messing with Patrick because he said he keeps messing with me about the audio, saying it's on when it's not, it's off when it's on. I don't know what's going on. So I thought I'd mess with him. But hi, everybody. Another question there answer show. I just literally sat down. I came from other location in Arlington, and I was really happy and blessed that we had a pretty good day today. I haven't even had a chance to talk to Patrick about it, but in light of what's happening in the world, with some banks that aren't doing so well right now, it was a very encouraging day on a financial note. So
sorry, we're an hour late.
We're an hour late. Yeah, because I was with a client. We had two classes we're finishing up today. Even though there were small classes, the people needed a lot of attention. So the morning class and then an afternoon class. And, people are funny, if you're going to teach these classes, I tell them, I usually try to give them an indication of how long, what project they should bring and how long it's going to take and within reason. And usually people don't finish, even some of the smaller projects, but it's usually because they might be late.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
What?
Address the statue, because Randy's already asking about it.
Oh, I wanted
You
to...
can't just have a unusual statue in the background. I'm not saying anything.
Well, this happens to be St. Francis of
Randy
Assisi.
knew.
And Randy, I wanted to talk about, we'll talk about it now, expanded services that we're kind of excited. We're actually being partners with many other, a big organization that I used to work for, but we're expanding our services, and one of them is going to be statue repair, indoor and outdoor statue repair, which includes repairing, cleaning, repairing, painting. This just happens to be the first project that we're going to be working on as part of our expanded services. I'm kind of excited about this. So what we're going to be doing, and normally, because I was so focused on the upholstery, I didn't even do refinishing. I've never done refinishing because I've done so much work in upholstery. But sometimes people bring a job, and I don't know if Randy refinishes. Maybe he can tell us if he does, or what expanded services that Randy might have. But there's a lot of opportunity out there, you guys. Don't be fooled, man. I mean, there's refinishing, there's caning, there's rush seats. If you're able to take that up and practice that, I know it's like any other skill. All these skills take a little time to get up to snuff. But I'm actually we're partnering. So together combined, I think I'm going to be really very busy. I want to see the phone more active. It's always good to have. Even if you're just given a straight out referral, I think it's good for you. I think instead of saying to a client, I don't have a referral for you, I want to make sure I have a referral for almost everything. So I'm going to get into referrals, bookbinding, glassware, refinishing. What else, Patrick? What else?
It's just broad restoration. It's easier just to say restoration.
Fine art. We're getting into that. We're getting into...
Let's talk about the dilemma that we were having, that me and you were talking about.
What's that?
What other people think of that.
What do you mean?
See, what I was telling you the other day about the whole name of the business and not doing too much stuff, maybe it's other people, maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? Talk about what we were talking about.
To clarify that, I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, we were discussing that we've always been an upholstery shop.
Right.
I know we're not doing the work in the upholstery shop. We have this place. But my thing was, we've always been called Upholstery on Broadway. You start introducing all these other things, does that make it too confusing? I wonder what people out there think.
No, I don't think so.
You weren't worried about it.
Already people call me for a lot of this stuff, so I'm only...
I have a bad experience. I'm not going to mention names, but somebody who was an upholsterer but the place turned into a pawn shop, and then it just went all. It turned into a circus.
That was a little different. That was lack of focus, and yeah, no, this isn't going to be what we're going to have. Just a small display of the additional services that we're offering, and maybe have a sign saying Restoration Partners. I think that's the name I'm leaning towards. We're not going to change our name. It's just like a subtitle to what we do. I think that the idea is to just get more activity going on the phone and on the website, because I don't like. I think when you're too narrowed, but it is a concern though, Patrick. I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying, but I just want to see the phone. I want to see a little. It's going to create a buzz. I mean, this is a beautiful statue. So, for instance, on this statue here.
So guys, chime in on that. See what you guys think. Is it too much to?
Yeah.
What's too much? In other words, right?
Yeah, and you don't want to lose your main focus, which is custom upholstery and fabrics and all that. So
right, I'll stop interrupting now.
So yeah, so that's what we're doing. We're busy. We're busy as a result, and then we get these offers all the time. Right, Patrick? Today we won't go into a lot of detail, but somebody's offered to buy us.
Who knows?
So we'll see. We have to look into that a little bit more. It looks legitimate, but you have to be careful. Sometimes these things aren't legitimate. That's another thing that maybe people can weigh in on. Maybe Randy and Malcolm, if he's listening.
Malcolm is here too.
What do you think about what your self-worth is? I mean, I don't want to ask them what the value dollar of their business are. I think most people who are in small business and are the business. I mean, everything goes through one person. In my case, I mean, I'm the talent. Everything goes through me, and everything everything projects out like other things. Like Michaela does the fabrics, Patrick does the IT, but the main thing is me. So how much is that? How much is a business worth where there's one person? So this is another thing what I'm trying to do. What Patrick doesn't understand with all this is I'm trying to get more diversified so that they're not reliant just on me. So. I mean, it's not necessarily a good thing when there's only one person where everything is reliant on. So I'm trying to even more diversify so that if I take out a month, maybe I take a month off, that the business can run on some the other things that we do. So this is what I'm trying to do. Is there a question or comment?
Well, Malcolm chimed in already. He was a good point. So you can create another brand and run it out of your current company. Register a trademark, a trade name. No need for another corporation.
Yeah.
So I think what he means is like we did Broadway Upholstery Supply.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Like that, yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's exactly, and it's a great idea.
I don't know if Malcolm was around for that, but we had Broadway Upholstery Supply, but we were just selling stuff online, and then we eventually just put it all under Upholstery on Broadway.
I mean, I think it's very important to diversify when you're just focused on just one thing. That it could be dangerous, especially in a down economy. And don't think I'm not thinking about this right now, guys. I mean, I am a little concerned. Patrick doesn't pay attention, but I am a little concerned. I've been around long enough to see the ups and the downs, and I see, where our businesses that we do could be recession-proof if we approach it, if we're proactive. I mean, I'm always seem to be ahead of the game. And this is part of it. This diversifying that I'm doing right now is part of what's going on in the world right now. So I think if you guys have any other ideas, or if you want to tell me what you're doing, that would be great.
There you go, Randy. That's exactly what I was saying. He says Broadway Restoration Services.
There you go. Well, there is the only problem with restoration services, Patrick.
There is one already.
There's already one in our town.
Is it called that? Exactly?
Yes, it is. That's why I'm leaning towards more restoration partners.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we used to be Kennedy's. That was my idea, but with Broadway brand has been has been built up for so long.
It's really done well by us, And
we still have Kennedy's Upholstery.com. We still own that.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah. So the other thing that I do to try to get my name out there is the adult ed that I'm teaching, which I mentioned. But I'm also running 2 classes in the spring exclusively now, Patrick. Exclusively now in the spring, we're going to run it through the 2 major public school systems in the Boston area. One is the town that we're in, Arlington, Mass, and the other one is Brookline, Massachusetts, which I had an affiliation with 30 years ago. But it's funny, full circle, right?
Well, you were doing Arlington since 2012.
Yeah,
It used to always be like that until
Yeah.
a little bit before the pandemic.
But the thing about that is, I was trying to tell Patrick, the amazing, they must have a mailing list of 100,000 people, Patrick. And they, because they're a nonprofit entity and they're associated with the school, there's a couple of good things about that. One is that when you get the check, it says Arlington Public Schools. You're a member of the school. You're really a good member of the community. And that can go, that's a pretty good thing. People like that. People respond to that because they see that you're involved in the community, and there's a level of caring. I mean, you're not doing this for the money. I mean, I could much be on the bench at 2 nights a week and make more money doing that, but that's not the point. It comes in other ways. And so what they do is they have a mailing for every single household in Arlington. And I'm not sure, I think Arlington has 50,000 people and probably, I don't know, 15,000 households or more. So every household gets a copy of the brochure, and there we are in it. Every single household. I mean, Patrick, how much would that cost us to do that?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Privately, that would be a fortune. So they have the special permits, from the post office, that goes out. It's pretty cheap for them to do that. But, they have a huge footprint. So when Patrick laughs when I say electronic footprint. We were having a big discussion about that the other day. He's laughing at me. I don't know what's so funny. I mean, that's what I call
know,
it.
that's what it is. It just sounds funny.
And I was trying to tell him we have a 12-year electronic footprint, which is fantastic. It is a good footprint that we have. Our mailing list does not come anywhere close to an adult ed program or a community ed program that's been around for 50 years and is associated with the school.
I mean, when you were Kennedy's, the internet wasn't even around.
That's right.
I mean, you changed the name almost right. No, there was a gap in between there.
Yeah.
You didn't go right from Kennedy's to Upholstery on Broadway, but.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is about business. I'm sitting here and looking at it down. I'm a little worried about what's going on. Maybe people can weigh in on that. But the diversified. We made a decision to start the adult ed classes again. Okay, part of it was because there's a good chance, not a good chance, but there's a chance that there might be a recession. So these classes people do take these classes during downturns in the economy. So if you guys are out there and you're thinking about doing the classes, we've got a couple of videos on it, right, Patrick, on how to do it, how to set it up, right?
I don't know if we ever did. We've how to run an upholstery shop. I don't think we did how to teach an upholstery class. Maybe let's do it.
And there's not much to tell people except that you're teaching your trade, and you should be confident if you've been doing it like Randy and Malcolm and other people have been doing it for more than 8 years or so, six to 8, even 6 years, 6 to 8 years. I'd say 8 would be on average. You're ready to teach a class. And I guess if I didn't do that, I thought we did a video, but I'll just briefly tell you the way you do it. The way I do it is I do not do it with staple guns. I have my own staple gun that I use, but it only comes out when people have satisfied me with pin tacking. So pin tacking, you could control a group of at least, I used to do 12, not anymore. I have 6 now, but you could, if you had bigger space, you could control a group of 10 people learning different aspects of upholstery if you're teaching with pin tacks. It means, if you had 10 staple guns, forget it. It's not a way to teach anyhow. It's not a way to teach a beginner. It's all about pin tacking, taking your time, doing this. I don't do muslin. Some upholsterers would teach with muslin first, and then that would be like the practice cover. I don't do that. It's a waste of time, unless it's going over horsehair. That's the only time we use muslin. Really, that's the only time. It's the only time you need to use muslin, in my opinion, or skirt linings or something. But you get the students to learn how to prep, and then you come along if it looks good and staple it for them. And I do the stapling. If somebody comes to me and they've got experience, they can use the staple gun. But I like to use the staple gun because, as you know, you guys, when you're using your staple gun, if you're still pin tacking, and I do, the staple gun is actually used. The head of the gun is used as that final adjustment on the fabric. I bet Randy and Malcolm know exactly what I'm talking about. That in between the tacks, that little nudge. Sometimes I push the head of the gun in, and I pull the fabric a little bit with the head of the gun, and then I staple. I want to make sure that it's perfectly perfectly straight, the fabric. So you could do this, and it's fun. It's exciting. The people that you meet are unbelievable. They become customers. A lady today left her chair and said, "Can you finish it for me, Patrick?"
Wow.
So you do get customers as a result, there's no. Sometimes we cannot trace the goodwill. The only about Patrick, I always tell Patrick with this. What I mean by goodwill is the good social networking that he does, and Michaela, all this stuff that they do. Sometimes doesn't get the credit. I try to give the credit, but sometimes it's those. They're not. It's not tangible sometimes with them, and I do feel. I hope that they know how valued they are. That's all I hope. I mean, I'll tell you today, Patrick. Something. Did you see that other inquiry? And we'll get to that. Michaela and I will get to it. It's very exciting. It came to us because of a YouTube video. So that's them. That's them doing the editing and taking the time after hours sometimes to film these YouTube videos. But we have, sometimes I forget. The customer came in today, said she saw us, she sees our YouTube videos, and Patrick, she used one of the DIY quick fixes that we have to stuff some cushions. She said it looks beautiful. I said, do you realize that you saved thousands of dollars by doing that?
Wow.
Because an upholsterer like me or Malcolm or Randy would want to change it all out, which is fine because that's what people come to us all the time. But this was a quick fix with Dacron to stuff from the bottom up. I know you and I wouldn't do it, Randy, and Malcolm, we wouldn't do it professionally. But for the homeowner who's maybe 8 or 10 years into a piece of furniture and the fabric's okay, but they've got semi-attached cushions on the back that are sagging, and they have a zipper. So fixing it from the bottom, 3 cushions like that, you just saved yourself $1,000 easily. An upholsterer would have to pick it up maybe, or order you new filling, or whatever they're going to do. We would want to do a professional job. And this was a way, we show a good way of introducing a new, the fiber that we introduced, Patrick, is fibers that will blend in a little bit. You'll see if you want to go on and take a look at that. So it's exciting. And then I have people call me all the time about that pop button video, the YouTube video. So this is the show about upholstery. So we're talking upholstery, right, Patrick?
Yep. I want to catch you up here.
Okay.
Back to the beginning when you asked Randy. He says, I do minor finish cleanup.
That's good.
And repair for major jobs. Have a local guy who's very good. And then Malcolm said, creating a new brand is best when you're creating different prospects than your main business. The supply company should be separate from your upholstery business.
Yeah.
We've actually, I wouldn't say toned down, but we're still selling supplies, but it's not, we've minimized our section at the shop lately.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we have to see where the growth is and where it isn't. And I don't think the growth definitely wasn't in walk-in DIY, Patrick.
No, we tried it.
Well, I mean, you've got at best, a 10-mile radius around the shop. And how many people are actually actively DIYing that need, a lot of people, they're resourceful with the internet, and they very quickly find other places that might be offering less. And let's face it, they might like you and they might watch your videos, but they do want to save money.
Yeah, so we figured that section is better served with fabric, which we're doing good in.
Right.
So we've expanded our fabric area.
And the reason the fabrics are important, and that's the reason why we do sell most of the jobs with our fabric, the profit is good, but it's also because it's a fabric that we trust and that we know and that we can stand behind. We're seeing, I don't know if Randy and Malcolm can weigh in on this, we're seeing a lot of bad fabrics and a lot of bad leathers, and faux leathers especially, even frontline faux leathers, first line faux leathers. Forget it. We've stopped doing it. So
he has more here. You want to,
yeah, go ahead.
He's created 3 brands to diversify his business. The downside is only one of him, just like there's one of you.
Who's that?
Malcolm. So your attention is divided. If your prime business is not growing, then diversifying is good, which we're trying to do. So that's cool.
Right.
Randy says in the adult classes I took, I was taught pin tacking. Once that looked good, you were allowed to staple your own project.
There you go. It does the same thing I do. It's smart. It's really smart because if they make a mistake, it's easy to take out a pin tack and replace it than it is a staple. That's another reason. And also it's a safety issue. And I know places that were teaching with staple guns. Everybody had their own staple gun. They had a huge pneumatic system and a huge compressor. It must have been a huge compressor with measure 12 guns. Imagine that, Patrick. That must be that
I think
compressor.
we'd be evicted from here if we did that.
The compressor was probably the size of a I don't know, of a truck.
The oil tank.
Yeah. So no, one staple gun does a BEA staple, and a small compressor does it for me. And you can actually, it's a portable compressor that you can use if your show is on the road. So let's get to the YouTube videos. Sarah, about the Upholstery Show Live, she said, "You are not lying about how you can throw your back out. I only did once, and it was from wrapping Christmas presents." We were talking about how to throw out your back.
It usually happens when you're not expecting it, right?
Yeah. It happened to me Saturday morning. I got
something stupid usually.
I got a sad story to tell, Patrick. I want to tell it
Oh
because
my God!
I just have to get it off my chest. It's not funny at all. It's actually, I'll be honest with you, I cried. So I picked up this sofa.
This just took a dark turn.
In the north end, and it's upholstery related because I picked up a sofa, but the client was nice enough, third floor, and you guys might be interested in this from all over the country and all over the world. I picked it up right next to the Paul Revere house in the North End, Patrick.
Oh, cool.
Right next door to this house was the Paul Revere house, his original house from like the 1700s, if you can believe it. And this woman lived on the third floor of a very old building, not as old as Paul Revere's house, but I bet it was Paul Revere's son's house or something, Patrick. But the sofa was on the third floor, and the client was nice enough to help me down with it. But we had a hard time, and I took the bottom, which is the harder part, going down, because you have to support the weight. But when you have somebody on the other end, God love her, she did the best she could. That's another way. It reminded me. That's another way you can wrench your back when there's somebody else that's not working in unison with you, and that's very possible with anybody, man or woman. And Patrick and I are pretty much in sync, aren't we, Patrick?
Yeah, I won't turn the couch without you expecting it.
But somebody always has to be the boss. Somebody always has to be the person directing the others. And sometimes I'm guilty of not directing you enough, and you say to me, "Come on, Dad, tell me what to do."
How is that sad?
I didn't say sad.
Well,
I haven't got to the story
Oh.
yet. You guys aren't going to believe this when I tell you. So I left the north end of Boston with my sofa, and my back is hurting me. And I'm going up. There's a bridge in Boston called the Zakim Bridge, and the Zakim Bridge is a marvel of. You guys can Google it if you want, but there's beautiful suspension bridge. It's really beautiful, right, Patrick?
Right.
And from the north end, they have their own private. Their own private ramp that goes up, and this ramp starts to make the climb up to the top of the bridge, and it merges to the main traffic on the bridge. Well, so it's early in the morning. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going up the bridge, and guess what's in the road? Guess what's in the middle? There's 2 lanes, but guess
sofa?
what? In the left, no, a huge, beautiful white swan. A beautiful white swan.
Are you telling me it got hit?
Patrick. I was with the swan for 20 minutes. I was trying to
What?
I had my emergency flashes on.
Yeah.
I have a white van, so I got in front of him hoping that he would follow me to the side. I was trying to get him on the side.
Yeah.
And I called the state police. I said, you're not going to believe this. You've got a huge swan from, I suspect that he came from the Boston Gardens. In the Boston Gardens here in Boston, we have what we call the swan boats. They're beautiful. And it's a beautiful garden. And this swan was 4 feet off the ground. It was huge. And it was waddling up.
I've never heard of this.
20 minutes, I was with the emergency flash. And guess what, Pat? It started getting dangerous. The cars were whizzing by me.
Yeah.
And I was really in danger myself. And I called the state police. I said, you got to get somebody out here. This swan's going to get killed. And I saw another accident way up, which was probably, they sent the police to that accident. And then, Patrick, it happened.
18-wheeler?
Nope, a woman. She didn't even see the poor swan.
Oh, that was a big bird.
She just ran it right over and kept going.
Wow.
And I was so bummed out. I
doubt it was on purpose. I mean.
No, she didn't even. I don't know how she didn't see it.
Oh.
I was right there with the emergency flashes on. I was so mad. She just took off. So I called back the state police and I said,
don't come out now.
I said, forget about it. And the guy was really nice. He said, no, don't tell me the swan's dead. I said, yeah.
That's a big bird, though. I mean, I can't see any way her car's okay.
She just kept going, Patrick. She kept going. It was awful.
Well, she
It
has
was
feathers
awful.
now in her radiator, probably. So
Well,
there's the karma.
I couldn't find anything good about it. All day Saturday, I was really bummed out. And don't tell Mom. She doesn't want to know. She did. I started to tell her. She says, don't tell me, because she's a real animal lover. We're all animal
Malcolm's
lovers.
probably right. Another driver on their phone.
She
That's the
was.
scary thing about that, Malcolm, is the next thing will be a person they have.
She was like this. I saw her when she went by. She was
Oh,
on
yeah,
the phone.
She's
Yeah.
on her phone,
Yeah.
not paying attention.
And-
So one illegal thing.
It was crazy, though. I was so
That's
sad.
Boston for you. They're not.
Yeah, I was so sad. Boston is known for the swan boats. It's kind of like a big swan.
That's very
place.
weird. I never heard of a swan on the highway. Usually you see.
And
like,
you know what? He almost made it to the top of the bridge, and he would have gone onto the main highway if he had made it. I don't know what he was doing.
I've never. I mean, you see small birds land and they're able to escape all the time. They're quick. But I've never heard of a swan.
No.
That's kind of crazy.
But anyhow.
Turkeys. I've heard of turkeys. That's for sure.
The reason.
That happens all the time.
I got distracted because
Yeah, I
of
know
what
how.
Sarah was talking about pulling your back out, and it reminded me of my North End very early pickup, and my back got wrenched, and then that happened with the Swan, and then I had a whole. Guess what, guys? My day hadn't even started. I mean, so I had to get to the shop. The shop opens up, at 8 o'clock, and I have to be there, and I'm by myself on Saturdays because these two. I don't know where these two guys go off on a Saturday, riding their bikes somewhere.
That lifting and that back rent, it's all about technique. I should do a video on the channel.
What
how to
thing?
properly bend over and lift
Actually, I could make a long video on how to bring furniture in and out of a house, how to lift it. I mean, there are really potentially, Malcolm and Randy probably can vouch for this. I think there are 32. Let me think about this. Hold on a second. 816. 32 ways that you can bring a chair or a sofa through a doorway. Right?
Oh, listen to this.
What?
You can sympathize with this. Malcolm says, I hurt my shoulder when my helper dropped their end of the sofa. It took months to heal. Didn't you have a...
Oh
let's
my
not name
God!
names
You
here,
just
but-
brought back a bad memory. I had a beautiful antique sofa. This thing was nice. I can't remember the exact style. I want to say it was a Victorian tufted sofa that I had just finished, and I had a new helper.
Well, the way you
And
described it.
This is crazy. So, bringing it up, given perfect instruction. Okay, now you need to turn it up. Put your right hand on the arm, the front of the arm. We're going to turn it together, and then you're going to adjust your hand to the bottom. I was going through the whole thing. Guess what the guy did? He not only did he let go, right on the sidewalk in front of the shop. Not only did he let it go, he went like this. He stepped back.
It's like it turned into lava all of a sudden.
So all of a sudden, my whole life, because this is like a $5,000, $6,000 job between the fabric and the labor. My whole life flashed in front of me, and it was like slow motion. And I had Malcolm, you're not going to believe this. This is like something out of, I want to say Ant-Man, but Ant-Man's not what I want to say. I want to say more like Superman, not Ant-Man, right, Pat?
Yeah. Like, get out of there.
And I don't want to say Aqua.
Instead of trying to dive to save it,
I
away.
don't want to say Aquaman either, because Jimmy starts to come up.
He's a big Aquaman fan.
So the sofa is so I'm on one end, but the other end has nobody on it. And it's being so I had the sense, Patrick.
Well, you're lucky you didn't get hurt like Malcolm did.
Oh, I had guess what I had the presence of mind to do?
What did you do?
I continued the rotation so that when it hit,
but you
when it
could have really
hit,
been hurt.
it hit on the back.
Oh my God.
And I actually had the wherewithal, so when it was falling, to tip the sofa and then bend my knees with the sofa as it hit the ground on the other end.
Wow.
Guess what?
Nothing happened, right?
The thing was fine. I was so mad.
Meanwhile, we knew somebody else who almost risked their life.
What?
Somebody who would rather get crushed by the sofa than drop it.
Oh yeah,
That was the opposite.
my older friend, who's
Yeah.
been upholstering longer than me.
Not only did he use his body to cushion the sofa so it wouldn't.
Tom,
get ruined.
if you're watching, don't wear
Yeah, I think it's awesome what he did.
Don't.
He fell, but he.
Now listen, you guys. If you're delivering anything, don't wear slippers.
You got to give it to him.
He had
He
a
used
slip-
his body.
I know, but he
to
had a
push
s-
it to the sofa
he
to
had
get
a s-
room.
We have a little step. It's this big off the ground, and it's painted in our fluorescent
Yeah.
in the front of the shop. It's like this, an inch off the ground. I bet.
Yeah.
And Ant-Man wouldn't trip over it. But anyhow, Dom, he's going backwards with the sofa. And I should have known. I should have known. I should have been more. But I heard the shuffling with the shuffling. He wasn't even picking his feet up, and then he fell. And he, instead of running away,
Yeah.
he let the sofa drop on him.
Yeah.
So
See?
he
Because
did
his experience.
But all I could see is his ruby slippers were sticking out of the end of the sofa pad.
Randy was telling Randy said how to move a sofa safely. Call a delivery service. Exactly.
Did you hear what I said? His
Yeah.
ruby slippers were outside the sofa.
But just so everybody knows, he's still alive. He made it.
He did, but he did a little neck problem, Patrick, there for a
Wow.
little while. But
I got to give it to him. He made sure that thing didn't hit the ground.
he did good. He sacrificed himself. You're right.
Yeah.
So here we go. She says, getting back to Sarah, and she said it was from wrapping Christmas presents when she wrenched her back. And then from there we went to the Zakem Bridge, and we won't talk. I don't know what
Let's
happened.
move on.
In my defense, I was wrapping Christmas presents. In my defense, it was a lot of presents. It was horrible. So I appreciate the tips on correct posture. So we did this video on good upholstery posture, and I think it really is important because it's about eye level. It's about how you sit. It's about really it is important. You can't do everything on your bench. You can't do everything on your bench standing up. A lot of times, what we do is want to, you guys know. But you should check it out if you're a newbie to this question and answer and to the channel. Check it out. The next one is from Abby. How to upholster 1860s again, Patrick.
Yep.
That is probably the most popular one, right?
Nope. The easy button hack is still number one.
That saves money. I was talking to the woman today who came in and talking about the videos, and I said the ones that do get the most are the ones that save you a lot of money. That would make sense, right?
Yep.
Abby says, what would you use if you can't find horsehair for the stuffing before the muslin? Well, if you're not using, first of all, if you're not using horsehair, I just mentioned it, you don't need muslin. The only time you need muslin is when you're using horsehair, especially over springs. But I have a student who's doing a horsehair seat without springs, and she's got muslin, so she finishes it, and I said, you need to regulate it out. She had never heard of it, and actually she teaches upholstery too. She's been doing teaching. I said, so the whole idea of muslin over horsehair, whether it be springs or not, hers doesn't have springs, is that you could take your regulator, poke it through, and work the horsehair in order to get it smoothed out or symmetrical. The regulator is used to lift valleys and to push down any bumps and you're always going to have, it's that when you do a horsehair. And the best projects, the old antiques that I take apart that had muslin and horsehair, you always see the little holes. They're not moth-eaten. It's because of the regulator. It's kind of cool seeing the holes from somebody that really knew how to work horsehair. So it's kind of exciting to see those old techniques. So she's asking what the material would be. The temptation about foam, as you guys know, and you can use foam as long as you communicate to the client. Sometimes you need to use foam. They don't want to pay for the horsehair because it's expensive. And the thing about foam, though, is that it's so consistent, so even. I mean, it does make for a nice finish. Let's face it. But if you're going to use a foam, use a good high grade foam like a medium ultra foam, but you do not use muslin. Muslin was an overused material that crossover. I think the reason is there was a big crossover from slipcover people to upholstery, and slipcover people are using muslin all the time. So I think there's only one practical, two reasons I can think of: over for muslin, over horsehair, and skirt linings. That's about it. Malcolm. Oh, Malcolm has a comment here. From the Upholstery Show, chiming in late on commercial work. Big numbers don't always mean big profits, Patrick. Right? It could be very slim margins. Ain't he right?
And we just got one in today that is coming through.
Which one?
That's commercial, right? The person will get back. Michaela will get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's right about that because you have to figure your labor still is a factor and logistics. I'll tell you something, the logistics. I had a job estimate that I'm going to have one of my partners help me with because there's a refinishing component to it. But a lot of times, the people who are hiring commercial upholsterers, they want to know how many square feet you have. You have to have the facilities in order to handle a large volume because they want to take everything and give it to you. You can't say, usually you can't say to a commercial job, well, we could do piece by piece or we could do 2 at a time, 2 at a week. No. That's why a lot of them within the contract, they're going to make you do a contract, among many other things, which surprised me, was they're going to want proof of your square footage. That's what they want. To make sure that when that truck gets loaded, they have an end place that's big enough that's going to take all these in. Because I guess a lot of people might exaggerate how much square footage they are in order to get the job. This is very important. Logistics. Are you insured? Do you have the staff? Do you have the help to do it? Do you have the storage, the square footage to do it? Do you have the materials other than fabric even? Do you have an on-site supply of new foam, for instance? All this stuff. So it's a whole different game than custom upholstery. Custom upholstery is a whole different story. So that's what we're expert in. But Malcolm's so right. Any other comments before I get to the next one, Patrick? The Facebook?
Yeah, Malcolm says, oh geez, poor Malcolm. Tore his shoulder again. Lifting a sewing machine.
Uh-oh.
3 months, oh God.
3 months?
Man. 3 months of healing.
Oh, hope it was his...
Well, you had a collarbone injury at one point in your life.
13, Patrick.
Yeah.
Broken
This is
collarbone.
different. He tore it.
It's funny you should mention that because it was bothering me before this storm. It always bothers me before a major storm, and we do have a blizzard coming in. My left collarbone. Yeah, it will. You broke your wrist
I
once.
broke my wrist twice. It's still not the same.
Yeah.
Never healed properly.
That hurts too once in a while, right? I bet.
But it doesn't hurt. It just isn't the same. It'll pop and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of the job, I guess. Getting hurt is part of the job. Because when you think about it, the best tool we have is our body. We use it a lot. I was telling somebody the other day, I was telling my wife, I said, you won't believe it. I go to work at 6 o'clock and I'm moving all day long. I'm going up and down the stairs. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And then I'm complaining to her, and she's working until 10 o'clock at night in the house. She's doing more than me, Patrick. She's always going. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, we'll be doing it until they come out with robots to do it for us. But never even close to that.
I don't know. So let's get to the Facebook, Patrick. I did want to mention, do we have any other business to mention, like about classes, online classes?
Did you have a Jimmy update? Have you heard from Jimmy?
Oh, well, Jimmy was, I asked Jimmy to help me set, Patrick,
Uh-oh,
you always seem to
What did he do
miss.
now?
He didn't do anything. I had a delivery on Saturday, and you weren't around, so I asked Jimmy if he could help. It was too late, because he usually gets overtime on Saturdays. But I had to deliver a love seat, a chair, 2 side chairs, and some cushions by myself to a condominium outside of Boston in the suburbs. And it was a bad day here. It was raining. Do you remember Saturday? It was a little overcast, raining. It took me about 2 hours just to load the van, Patrick.
Wow.
Just to load the van, it took me 2 hours because I needed to make sure I brought extra plastic tape, a 4-wheel dolly, a scrap piece of fabric to cover, because a lot of times you want to cover, even if it's plastic covered. Sometimes I put a cloth cover over it so that when you get to the door, you don't have a lot of water on the cover itself, even though the fabric's protected. So you want to make sure that, I mean, you really have to really think about it. And I really had to think about how I was going to bring the love seat in by myself. I had to go up a flight of stairs, outside stairs, on a porch in the rain, slippery, and I had to put the dolly. I had the dolly set up, and I had to put the love seat up upside down. Remember the 32 ways? The 32 ways, Patrick?
Yeah.
So I had to know which way on that. If I didn't know on the love seat by myself which way it could only go in one way, I could have tried it 32 times. Isn't that
Wow.
amazing? I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, guys. If you think about it, 32 times, right? So, up on its arm, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up on its back, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the other arm, 1, 2, 3, 4, up on its end. So that's, I'm pretty sure, 8, 16, 24, 32, right?
Yeah.
What are you laughing at? Somebody making funny comments over
No, I
there?
was thinking of something else.
All right, so that was my day Saturday. That was Saturday, Patrick.
No.
After the Swan business and after the North End, I'm still delivering with the wrench back. Where were you?
At least stuff's going on.
I think
right?
Patrick was, he went for tea for two at the local
I think
inn.
I don't,
Him and Michaela.
for some reason, I always work. What? It always works out the deliveries over the weekend.
I got Patrick with his pinky out saying, "Oh, I wonder what Dada is doing. Dada is
Yeah,
killing
actually, I
himself.
saw you doing it, and I kept walking. I saw you in there. I said, "Oh, I don't have time for this."
What a day! Should have been there all day with me, man. Oh, I'm telling you.
But as for Jimmy, I know he did find, was it a tufted sofa for his next class? He mentioned he doesn't have anything now, but he saw something
He saw
on
something.
Facebook Marketplace. I think he saw a tufted. So we were thinking about doing the next thing. I think is going to be tufted, right? The next class.
Yeah.
The
Well,
wing
speaking
chair.
of the online classes, I interrupted myself, I guess. But when is the next new online class coming up?
So that one will be up by, I said the spring. That's going to be our spring class because we had a winter. The shellback was our winter class.
And so, why do people want to take the online
So
classes?
spring class, I'd say definitely be out by the end of May.
So-
before the summer.
So, do you have a tally on how many online classes we have, Patrick, and how many are in? Just to take a guess. I mean, I'm looking up at the
Go on
board
now.
here, and I'm looking and I'm seeing that last class had 15 segments.
So I know we used to try to do as many back to back as we possibly. Now we've
Right.
gone to kind of the same way we do the in-person classes.
Right.
We'll do one online class per
Yeah.
season,
Yeah,
per semester.
yeah.
Because now when people sign up, they get the classes.
But in the beginning,
It's not timed.
But
So
in the
they get whatever
beginning,
we release,
there was
you
a
know.
frantic. There was some frantic in the beginning to try to get some content. That's what we were working on, content.
Right.
Now that we have
that
content,
stuff, so.
we can actually take our time a little bit too on and maybe spend more time on the individual classes. But when somebody buys, do you still have these as one collective?
No, so that's why we changed it. So now when somebody signs up, we're not in a rush to get 5 classes out for these people in a year.
Right.
Now they sign up, and it's going to take as long. We're trying not to take too long doing it, but they still get, no matter how long it takes for us to film, they're still going to get those 4 classes in the next pack.
Okay.
So the first one of that was the shellback, the wing chair, and then whatever we do next, they'll get 4.
Would you say there are 60 different segments if you added up all the segments? I know I'm putting you on the
I
spot.
don't know about classes, but we have
Online classes.
lessons, I mean.
Lessons. Each one
Lessons,
of those.
I don't know. Classes, I think we should have 10 by now, right? I can go on there and check.
Well, if you have 10 classes, 10 online classes, they average about 15 each. That's more than what I thought, Patrick.
I know
So,
Jimmy's been the main star. I know
Well,
Kayla wants to do one.
Kayla's going to do one. I think should be good.
We could do that. We're going to do that simultaneously with Jimmy's next class, I think.
So we got a Facebook. Patrick, I think you might have missed. There was a late Facebook posting too.
No,
might
he
want-
was. I don't know.
You don't wanna
check
say-
that one. I think
Oh,
that
all
was
right, all right.
somebody asking for someone
All
to
right.
do work.
Allison. So we get to the Facebook now. Allison has a question. She says, "Hello, fellow upholsterers. Question for you. I was asked to reupholster chairs that have an oval-shaped back. The client wants a 4-inch trim applied to a solid fabric. She would like this new fabric applied to the inside back and the outside back. I just upholstered a pair of chairs with the striped fabric on a round back, and centering the stripe on a circle is tricky. It's also tricky because sometimes those oval backs aren't perfect, and that's a problem. So you always go by what 2 center points, usually penciled, 2 center points on that, and disregard any abnormalities in the oval shape. Because working from the floor up vertically is better than trying to go with the chair because it'll never look right, if you know what I mean. It is especially true on antiques when you have this problem. Or wicker. I had a woman trying to make a wicker cushion, an upholstered back cushion on a wicker chair. Forget about it. To make it look symmetrical, you have to make it. You have to make one side fit better than the other side and customize it. So that's that always from the floor up on a vertical stripe. Never go with the chair or try to use logic with the chair like that. With the chair that might not be perfectly symmetrical. Does that make sense, you guys? She has 8 dining room chairs. Wow. And that's 16 striped fabric backs to upholster. Man, I'm telling you, even I would not want this job. I was wondering if anyone has any tips on how to center the stripe. I just told you, so that this can be done methodically. I just told you. Sketch of the trim on fabric on the chair shown. Thank you in advance. Let me just show you what she's got here. So she's got the chair that she did. The chair that she did here. The 2 chairs, I think she said, and then these are the new ones that they want this one stripe back. Boy, it's like, how can I mess with that upholstery? What's the best way to mess with an upholstery? I'll tell you, the best way to mess with them is to give them a stripe with an oval back that might not be perfectly symmetrical. Let's see what they do with that one. So really, Allison, have a good talk with you, like what I just did. I wouldn't do this job unless I had a really good talk with my client, and I told him exactly what I said to you. You take it and you center it. You center it as much as you can on that oval. Try to get it. You can even drop a plumb line if you want. But the stripe, you have to. If it's not symmetrical, you actually have to use your eye too sometimes and make sure that you're straight from the floor. That's all I'd say. But it's not an easy job, especially with the curved back. So I would throw this out. I'm not sure. Did she get any replies on the
Yeah,
Facebook?
people were commenting. So.
Good. So on the Facebook forum, you guys, if you're looking for us for the first time in the live question and answer, I love it. I think it's the best resource for young upholsterers and journeymen and even people like me who learn a lot from you guys and from my students. I think this is wonderful platform in which to ask questions and concerns. I think it's a great place to do that. Anyhow, now I think we're going to get to Michaela. Michaela, you want to read? There's some interesting inquiries lately, right? So this is the segment where where these are actual inquiries and estimates that we have. But before we do that, any comments or questions up there, Patrick?
We're good for now.
Okay. All right, Michaela, I'm ready for you. I love this one. Is this the Braden? Oh, you go. You take the lead on this. Go ahead.
Oh yes, that one. That's the first one.
That's the one?
Yep.
So remember what I was just talking about? How it's hard to trace some of the stuff that you guys do, some of the what do they call that? Not backdoor, but background things that you do through editing and the work that you do behind the camera. Back end. So this is a perfect example. If it doesn't often, they don't mention this, but go ahead and read that.
He says, I saw your YouTube video on reupholstering a womb chair and am absolutely not equipped to embark on that voyage myself. Can you please estimate how much it would cost for you to do this professionally, including the ottoman? Also, can you please advise on fabrics? That would be good for our 2 cats who quickly destroyed the buccal fabric we have on the original chair. How is velvet for cats? And finally, how long does this take? Thanks for any info you can provide.
Unfortunately, we'll address the fabric first, but the fabric that you need to use trumps any cat that cat problem. They can't be focused on that because the fabric has to be that two-way stretch fabric and a plain fabric. Velvet's not the way to go on this chair. I don't know why he's thinking that cat won't go near velvet, but he has to pick out a fabric that we show him. You know, you've done this before, Michaela, so we'll address the fabric issue. But as far as the price goes, with the
we're gonna have to give him a price if it's full restoration, including that foam, right?
does he
Doesn't mention that at all.
Okay, let's just give him a reupholstery cost first. Now, why do I do that? Because we want the job. We don't want to scare anybody away with the restoration charge. And as you guys know, I'm not being sneaky here. We don't know. So what I'm not gonna do is ask him, is it a restoration? Because we would have to see it anyhow.
We could ask how is the foam?
Well, I think what we'll do is just give him a reupholstery cost, and then just say, we need to
It might.
see it.
Yeah, we need to see it to get
Right.
an exact estimate.
So let's give him the low number first. So, try to ease him into the whole thing. He probably has an idea after watching that video just how much it might cost. So he's looking for a price for both the chair and the ottoman. So the chair and the ottoman together would be $1,900 plus 9 yards of fabric, and then you could say that other stuff that this is a reupholstery charge, assuming that the foam is in good shape.
Yeah, Malcolm has a good point. Sell cat repellent spray on your website. I don't know how well will that go, but that's a good point. We wouldn't want that though. We want them to do it.
I was in a house.
We want them to destroy the stuff.
Well, we have a secret arrangement with the cats.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, they're secretly working for us.
Yeah, exactly.
I went into a house the other day, delivered this beautiful job. It was really a nice, loose, woven fabric.
And it was demolished.
And this cat, she had 2 cats, and they were called tuxedo cats. And I was just loving the cats. And then one of them, seriously,
Well, those are employees.
do you know what a tuxedo cat is, you guys?
Never.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah, they look like they've got a tuxedo on.
This one, black and white, right?
Yeah.
This one had a tie. This one, it had a tie coming down like this.
Yeah.
On its front.
Because it's that marking. They all have something on their chest.
But some of them don't make, some of them are just, This one definitely had a tie on it. And she said, "Oh, I want to introduce you to Benny," or whatever his name was. And the dog, believe it or not, it was acting like a dog, the cat. And so she said, "Here, Benny, sit." The cat sat.
Wow.
You can teach cats. It just takes more patience than a dog.
I've never seen this before. But then I heard she went in to get the check to pay for it. It was very expensive. And then I was sitting in the chair and I heard this on the back of the chair. The cat had already started. And you know what I did, Malcolm, for this client? She requested, special request. I've never done this before.
Malcolm said you could put catnip in the stuffing. Oh my God, that's just evil.
Oh, that's evil. Dr. Evil of the upholstery world there. But she made me put plywood on the bottom instead of the cambric because the cats were destroying the cambric. And so I put plywood instead of cambric on the bottom. I've never done that before. I mean, she really loves these cats. But I wonder how they're making out. Go ahead, Michaela. We're finished with that one or no?
Just typing about the fabric.
They need to use our fabric, which is we use that linen, right?
Yeah.
Which is really designed for that chair. He doesn't have many alternatives in the fabric. So one time, while Michaela's still writing that, Patrick, I got a call for a sofa estimate. This was a while ago. It was in Waltham. And I come into the house, and this was a man, a cat man. So usually you have cat ladies. This was a cat man. And he said, "Oh, why don't you sit on the sofa and get a feel for it?" And so I'm sitting on the sofa, right? And there must have been 10 cats in there, Patrick.
Why even have a sofa?
So I'm sitting there, I'm sitting on the sofa, and I got a cat on one shoulder cat on another shoulder, a cat on my lap, and another couple at my feet. And I'm sitting there saying, wow, this is a nice sofa. Right? And he says, I'm amazed. I said, what's so amazing? He says, those cats don't come near anybody. Oh, and so
There you go, see?
I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking this is good that the cats like me. I'll get the job. I didn't get the job. He didn't like the price.
Oh, dude. Well, he should be on a subscription plan with us. Reupholstery every month. And all those cats.
I got one more cat story while she's writing. So this is an awful story. I have nightmares over this story about a cat. There's a lot of cat stories now that I think about it. I get a call from a lady deep in the city, and she said, I need you to come out. This is when I used to do in-house repairs, to repair something in the house, like a stitch up an outside arm or something. And so
there's one more part that we need.
Oh, okay. Before I get to the story, let's have Michaela.
How long would this take?
This is going to be a 3 to 4 week. This is our regular backlog. Maybe say 5 weeks. 3 to 5 weeks. So, Patrick, are you listening?
Yes, I am.
So, she said. So we were setting up a time to come out, and she said, "Can you do me a favor before you come out? Can you stop and get me?" I've never had a customer say this before. She wanted me to stop at a fish store to get her some fish. So I said, I guess I could do that. She said, the fish will be waiting for you when you get there. So I said, okay. You know, at that time, we were just starting out. I needed the work, so I guess I would do almost anything. So I stopped, and then I go up this, apartment house, an older apartment house, and the woman opens the door, and she said, are you afraid of cats? I said, no. I love cats. So she invited me in. And she introduced me to this cat. I'm telling you, she didn't have a cat. It was a bobcat. I swear to this day that it was a bobcat. It was not a cat. This thing was huge, Patrick. And it had those funny shaped eyes like a bobcat. And I swear it was a bobcat.
There's no way.
Even to this day. It might have been if it wasn't a bobcat, this cat had issues, man. So she said to me, so there's the sofa. So I have my string out, and I'm stitching, and the cat's going after the string while I'm trying to sew the sofa. And she says, is Tiffany bothering you? I said, kind of. It's already scratched me and everything else. I said, kind of. It's got a fascination with my string. She didn't do anything about it. She said, well, don't worry. I'm going to treat you to the best fish soup you've ever had. And I said, okay. And she said, are you ready? Come on in. And I come in, and she said, she served me the fish soup, but I didn't know this delicacy. I had never heard of it before. I'm kind of a meat and potatoes guy, but she poured out the soup in this big bowl, and there was a fish heads in the soup. It was fish head soup, Michaela. You ever hear that? Never heard of it. But I don't think it was very unsettling. You got these fish heads looking at me, and so she said, now I'm going to go out to the store, and I'll be right back. And when I get back, I want to see all that gone. So thankfully she left, right, Patrick? So I said, oh my God, thanks. So what I did was I threw it away, and I went to the sink and I cleaned the bowl out, and I put the soup I put the empty dish in the sink. When she came back, she said, did you enjoy the soup? And I made a mistake. I said, yeah, it was delicious. She said, sit down, you must have a second one.
God.
But that was a cat's. That's kind of upholstery related.
I think
Anyhow.
Malcolm told us this before, but I'm not sure.
What's
but
that?
He says, I have a client who has 11 cats. They back their sofa and dining chairs with a carpet runner, so the cats can scratch the rug and not destroy the chairs. That's really cool. I think you got something there.
Wow. Yeah.
I think you mentioned that before. It was really cool.
So
And SG says a Maine Coon cat. That might have been what
that's
it was.
what it was.
Yeah?
That's what it was. And it had long claws, and it looked like a bobcat. It was a big cat.
Wow.
All right.
So next one is Jenna.
Okay. So you want to read that?
Just says reupholster a cushion on an old arcaned armchair.
Yeah, that's kind of a neat chair. So that one there, She didn't specify if it was a loose cushion or not, but I guess it
It
doesn't
looks
matter.
like a loose cushion.
So I say 150 labor plus a yard and a half of fabric. Small jobs. You know, sometimes guys don't be fooled by small jobs. Some people will give you a small job, test you out to see how responsive you are, how good you are, what's your personality. I mean, they check you out this way, and then they give you a big job, and you sometimes were surprised by that. But some people do. You know, it makes sense too if you don't know somebody to give them a small job. The response time is really important, though, you guys. Being responsive no matter what it is, and polite. If it's something that you can't do or don't really want to do, you don't have to say that, but you be polite. Always be polite and courteous back, you know. That just seems like common sense, but you'd be surprised how many people would look at and poo-poo that as a small job.
Does that include foam if needed?
You could say it doesn't include foam, but we'd have to look at it. So again, you see what I'm doing, you guys. If you're trying to price, this is a big question for people. If you're pricing, try to introduce yourself on the lower end of things, and have somebody warm up to you. Try to get a likability factor going instead of just, you know, and always, you know, we've been communicating with somebody now that really shouldn't probably write emails because they appear to, Patrick, you know who I'm talking about. They appear to be mean. Do you ever get somebody that emails you that looks like they're being mean
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. All it's missing is all capitals.
So I think you really have to be careful. Michaela is really good at expressing herself in emails. You notice that, Patrick?
Yes, yeah.
You're good with it too, Patrick.
Yeah.
But, you know, polite, courteous, not long-winded either. You know, you can do that too. You can be long-winded like I am now. Just use this as an example of being long-winded. Right, Patrick?
Yeah.
All right, Michaela, is that it on that one?
Yes, that's it for that one.
Okay.
And then next one is...
Now, before you go on, when did we get that? What time did we get that? And what day did we get that?
We got that today at 3:35
And
p.m.
we're answering that 2 hours later. That's not bad.
And we also got the braided one at 4:24 p.m.
Okay, good. Let's answer
So
that.
these were all from today.
Which one is this?
Next one is John.
John Patrick. Okay. Okay, you want to read that one?
Good day. I would like to get my couch cushions redone. I have attached some pics to ease the quoting process. The dimensions are listed below. I do not expect an exact quote, unless of course you can, just close to cost. Thank you. Then he provides the dimensions and says the cushions are removable and unzip, so you can remove the old fill.
Well, before we go into a lot of detail about what we're going to do, we need to kind of, we need to ask him what this is a leather. Let me just show people. Okay, this is leather too. Okay, so leather, my opinion about leather cushioning is when leather first was used in the upholstery business or almost anywhere else, you know, I think about leathers, they used to use it on doors, believe it or not, upholstered doors. I don't know if these two know that, but they used to upholster doors. It was an English tradition with leather. Desktops, book bindings. What else? What other examples where we use leather, Michaela? On furniture, it's usually upholstered seats, nothing else. So all of a sudden, manufacturers decide like they want to, and this ties into this estimate, and this is good. This is why you guys want to tune into this question and answer this for this reason alone. If you guys are in business and you're trying to make a go of it. All of a sudden, manufacturers come out with leather cushions, which is ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous, and soft leather cushion, soft cushioning on leather cushions. That's totally ridiculous. I mean, what's the first thing that's going to happen? Do you see how creased these are? They're going to crease in no time at all. It's not the proper use for leather. You know, manufacturers, is there any surprise? They really don't care too much about longevity. So when I look at something, I know, I don't want, it's going to crease. Creasing causes strain on the leather and the seams, and it's going to wear out faster. Just because it's leather doesn't mean it's going to last when there's those issues involved. So, you know, does he want new soft filling? So we need to probably with this one. I don't want to get into a lot of detail like what we just talked about. I think let's see how are we going to handle this. Say we really recommend, due to the creasing issue, okay, firm cushioning, and we can give them a ballpark, I guess. The seat cushions, if you go with firm cushioning, would be $225 each. The back cushions, expect about the same, $225 each. So they also have armrest in here. Armrest. I guess we could put like a 1-inch piece of foam in those, so you can go on that one there, like $100 each on the armrests.
Malcolm says here in Arizona, leather overstuffed foam chairs and couches are everywhere. They wear out quickly and look terrible in a few years.
Yeah. People just love leather, though, but, I had somebody call me that had a Chesterfield leather sofa today, and they just wanted me to repair it. Oh, my God. I said, no way. Some things are just they're not worth it. Chesterfields, I'll upholster it, but I won't do leather. So, when you get a customer that has a leather Chesterfield with tufting, and, the tufting on the seat, we've talked about seat tufting. Chesterfields are the worst disaster in design that I've ever seen in the furniture business. Tufting on seats or ottoman tops are the worst idea that you can ever have. Inevitably, those buttons are going to pop, and they'll be popping forever, and the leather will wear out faster in the seats than anywhere else. I don't even want to touch them. And they're heavy. Those real Chesterfield sofas are very heavy. So, I just don't go anywhere near them. Okay, is that done, Michaela?
Yep.
Good job. What's the next one?
And the last one is Jocelyn.
Okay. You can read that. Now, this is an interesting one, you guys.
Hi there, I hope this email finds you well. We are looking to recover 2 Mandarin chairs for our 14N project on Nantucket. They are currently at our storage warehouse in Hyannis. We would like to have these completed by May. Can you please provide a quote for recovering, given the details below? And then they give the dimensions and give a photo.
Okay, that's good information. Very professionally done, isn't it? And it looks like they're using their own fabric. So we need to upcharge, so you have to remind them this is from a designer. We don't do many designers because we're not a wholesaler. We're not a closed workshop. We're a retail shop. And not only can I give a break on this, I have to charge an upcharge because that's 14 yards of fabric total. Oh, hold on a second. Did you notice something in this?
They said they only ordered 7 yards.
Yeah. That's kind of close. Another problem we have with people ordering their own fabric without asking us. So they've already ordered the fabrics 3.5 yards each on this one. Let me see what the dimensions are. It's 57 inches wide, which is good. Well, they're smaller. That's close, though. Yeah, I guess so. That's really close. But I want to make sure that I upcharge this. So normally I would charge $900 each on those. So we'll say $1,200 each, straight out. And just that's it. Just say these chairs are $1,200 labor each. So I guarantee you that she's not going to use us for that price. Are there any other questions and answers, Patrick? Because I think that we're...
I think we're good. Is that everything? I can't believe we're caught up. That was a lot.
Yeah, that's everything.
So, That was a pretty active question and answer. Thank you guys for the normal people the normal people, the the regular people have joined us. Are
And we
there,
got a lot of people just watching, which is fine too.
yeah, we love that. I mean, I hope that there's some knowledge put in there. I think one of the biggest things that came out today, if you guys are doing leather out there, is don't try to do upholstered everything. And if you're going to do leather, if you have to do leather and you're doing a custom chair, sell them upholstered seats, coil springs with it can be foam or horsehair if they have the money, but tight. Just think tight. Don't think loose when you're dealing with leather. And I think that's a big thing. And you know, even this cushion job that comes our way with these leather cushions is a little unusual. Sometimes I'd rather not get those because you tend to, on repair jobs, inherit problems. I had one come back to me. So what I did on one, just to quickly say this, I had a French chair that came to me about 2 years ago, and the bottom was hanging out. So all I charged them for, and I got paid for, was to re-web the bottom, really, pretty much, and put new cambric on it. Well, they come in the other day and says, you know, the foam on the top is no good. Look at it; it's all pulling away. I said, well, I think I only charged you, and I couldn't remember exactly. But you know, so there's an issue with repair work. You know, that you can get these things tend to come back again. It's crazy how that works. So if you can avoid them. But if you're just starting out in business, sometimes they can be lucrative too. I understand that they can be tempting because there could be some money there, but always expect be very clear contractually, make sure it's all written down. But anyhow, any other comments, questions, Patrick? Or do you have anything to add?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, well, good. We'll see you guys next time. Maybe
you, guys.
Jimmy will be here next time.
Yeah, we keep saying that.
Yeah. All right, take it easy, guys. Thanks a lot.
That was a good one.